The truth is, I don't think any of us do. And so I spend my days and sometimes nights working alongside my clients, my teams, my partners, really trying to figure out ways to optimize value in each and every interaction. And frankly, it's very, very challenging. But for the point of today's session, we're going to talk about customer engagement. I think we're really going to build on a lot of the terrific discussion that we just had, just heard, that was part of Char's forum here, and also many of the existing sessions that we've attended so far with the event. How many of you are familiar with Acxiom, by quick show of hands? What we do? Okay, many of you. Well, that's good, because Wiki has us as the largest company most people have never heard of before. So some of you may know us for our data, our ability to integrate data, databases, information technology, consulting, or agency services. Regardless of how you know us, just know that we're behind 350 of the largest 500 marketing ecosystems in the world. And I think that's important because it gives me some credibility on stage here, because I have a fantastic perspective. I've had an opportunity to work alongside over 100 of the Fortune 500 personally. And what I can share with you is that all of these brands, all of you, are looking to do similar things, right? Differentiate the customer experience. And frankly, everybody is at a different stage of maturity as it relates to customer centricity. And so we're going to talk a little bit about today how we can kind of set a stage and establish a true foundation for transformation, beginning with a shared vision. So I'm going to share with you some of the kind of key conversations that I'm having in boardrooms and also all over the world, frankly, given my role, really so that we're all sharing a common framework as we kind of get into seeing how the customer experience, how customer engagement can truly come to fruition. And then I think we're going to finish with some Q&A with Mark, and I too will do my best not to keep my hands down or my eyes down or up. So we all want to win. We wouldn't be in marketing if we didn't. And I'm not going to bore you with additional facts, stats or projections on how significant change is affecting us both personally and professionally. I think what's really important here to note, though, is that it took hundreds of years for the first few marketing channels to emerge. And those that were able to truly understand, predict, and ultimately influence consumer behavior through television, through radio, through direct mail, built brands, they built businesses. These folks built empires, and they're the logos that we oftentimes idolize today. And all of us in the room now have that same opportunity. If you look at the infusion of new channels over the last decade, we now have that same opportunity to make sense of social media, mobile channels. And so my question to you is, how much are you investing, and how ready are you to, win the game, to really surf that wave or drown in its wake, if you will? Innovate or die, we've heard some folks reference in terms of some white papers. So it is a space race, and the reality is there's no real roadmap, and if there is, it's evolving pretty darn fast, right? It's a dynamic environment that we live in today. So if we look at kind of making sense of what's happening in this ever-changing, ever-evolving, somewhat disruptive environment that we're working with, Yu Chen brought up yesterday, the importance of paid media and owned media and earned media, and we heard it again today. I'd like to add respectfully sold media. I think this is a framework that starts to help us get grounded in terms of how we can begin to bring about some level of order. So what's most important about this? What's most important about this is that the old game was a pay-to-play model, right? So in order for me to gain access to reach my addressable market, I had to pay others to communicate. And now market leaders are getting and appreciating that I can now leverage paid media, and should, to reach new prospects, right? Sometimes customers, but ultimately so that I can engage in a direct relationship, so that I can own the media, so I can cost effectively communicate with them on a go-forward basis and really have an ongoing conversation where I can gain access to leverage data to generate insights to enrich consumer engagement. And hopefully, there will be times when I actually earn media thanks to my customers. And hopefully, over time, my owned media will become so significant that I can begin to monetize that media even further through perhaps selling some of that valuable real estate. So that paints a quick picture. So who's doing this well today? Some real examples, some real measurable outcomes. Sorry, can we go back? I hit twice. Thank you. So let's look at Ford for paid media. Ford has reallocated 25% of their spend to digital channels, whereas the average for most of you marketers is around 2%. If we look at owned media, Charles Schwab, their community, the individuals that are engaging on their community now engage in 80% more trades. Very, very significant. Earned media, Burger King, 32 million free media impressions. Estimated value is around 400,000. And for paid media, Procter & Gamble, the fact that they have a website, Being Girl, where they can actually monitor and observe, right, how consumers are interacting, really puts them in a position to be vitally in touch, finger on the pulse of the needs of their consumer market. So irrespective of all of that, what's most important here to get is that how you embrace and leverage new and emerging media channels ultimately is driving competitive advantage. It's how you can leverage the voice of the customer to influence product development, marketing, services, news, events, you name it. We all get that. But if we look at how significant this is, Apple now is a $222 billion valuation. Look at how Wikipedia rocked Encyclopedia Britannica to the core. Netflix impact on Blockbuster. So think about where you are on this mix. Are you a lagger? Are you a leader? And what can you be doing today to start to advance with confidence and ultimately hopefully generate a leapfrog advantage? So the moment of truth, white papers on your seats. If you have a chance, check it out. I think there's some real substantive quality content in there. But this is a quick kind of summary. So consider the life cycle, and you guys all know life cycle marketing, right? You're all super intelligent. But consider, if you will, that today consumers are blurring across channels as they interact with various brands. And so it really begins, and I'm glad I heard it earlier in this morning's session in terms of events. There are key events that matter to your business, and only your business, probably your competition too. So for example, I just recently got married, and we moved, so I have a home, had a baby, and purchased a car. And so I'm now in market for stuff I never knew I was in market for, right? This is a major event, and there are many of you that are wanting to get access to me given this event. And so the key for you is knowing before, during, and after I've passed through one of these events. So how can you do that? Well, it really begins with signals. So signals are when I get online and I do a keyword search. That's a signal. I tweet. That's a signal. I click on an email, that's a signal. Web clickstream data, those are signals. I talk about somebody in store, that's a signal. So how can we leverage these signals to create multidimensional insights online, offline, so that we can be very relevant in terms of beginning to unlock some really key insights, and then infusing those insights into conversations and choosing where and when we want to do so across channels. Where is our sweet spot? Where is the competition, say, less credible, less relevant? Where and how can we be most timely, relevant, and ultimately deliver value and really impact the metrics that matter in terms of the business outcomes. So that's a quick view in terms of the kind of model for a connected world in terms of leveraging the moment of truth. And I think in order to facilitate this, and we heard many of these things mentioned this morning, first and foremost, you have to understand your audience, right? To understand your audience, you need arguably data. So how can you understand your audience without being able to recognize them? Recognize them when they're in store, recognize them when they're online. This becomes very important in terms of linking and matching data. Additionally, how can you create this central nervous system so you're constantly listening and being in a position so that you can pick up on and detect all of those different signals that are out there. Lots of technologies allow you to do that. And then finally, how do you personalize and coordinate this engagement omni-channel, right, cross-media? This is a major opportunity, and unfortunately, given the time, we can't get too far into this, but perhaps we can in the Q&A. So this customer image spectrum becomes quintessential. How do we market and or message to individuals before they provide more information about themselves? And ultimately, how does that lead to having complete clarity on who I am, Barry Stamos, right? What my likes, dislikes are, and ultimately who influences me in my community, right? In terms of my network, no network. So to do this trend that we're seeing is that more and more organizations are not just looking to leverage their own data, but they absolutely positively need to start to share data, right, across the ecosystem. And so Acxiom being one of the companies that's starting to establish safe havens where you can share your data with others in a safe environment and begin to derive some key insights that are very actionable and hopefully profitable. So that's a quick summary. I'm now going to share an example, a customer experience, where many of these things are brought to life. And this represents not only current capabilities for all of you, but also coming capabilities. So meet Sue Stevens. She lives in California. She's single. And so if anybody's single in the audience, she's a blogger. This is important because if all of you right now are running counts, whether it's for B2B or B2C, her personal lifetime value is small, but if you consider her ability to influence others, it's quite high. How many of you are using lifetime value, social and lifetime value models? You rest assured your competitors are or soon will be, right? So what are Sue's expectations? A lot of what we all expect from all of us in terms of what we do both personally and professionally. So let's get into Sue's experience. So Sue was recently touched and moved by the recent destruction, the tornadoes in the South. And so she got on Twitter and tweeted that she wanted to volunteer. She wanted to get involved, so she reached out to her community. Given this, Save the World, and this is a fictional nonprofit, mind you, detected that tweet. They were searching for that signal. So leveraging that signal, they were able to make a decision to then buy media to reach Sue directly across 3 screens. And as such, Sue saw an ad that excited her, and she ended up texting to make a donation to that nonprofit. And then that nonprofit sent her not only a quick text confirmation message, but then an email with the receipt so she could, of course, get a reduction on her taxes. If we look forward, Sue also was encouraged in that message to go online and connect via Facebook Connect so she could actually see relevant ratings and reviews from individuals in her network, right? So that could be very, very compelling. On the Save the World's website, when she visited the website, she was able to click through and start to provide some feedback based on some feedback mechanisms on what she had an interest or an affinity towards. And she actually chose animal rescue as something that she would like to get involved in. And needless to say, she had every intention to volunteer, but life, the busyness of life caught up with her, and she ended up not volunteering. However, there was a print ad for Save the World that she read on an airplane, not but weeks later, and she scanned in the QR code and downloaded the app that they were offering, and she actually checked it out and realized that she could get points, she could get recognized and badges for doing certain things. This is important because later that next week she was driving by a Save the World location, and geofencing picked up that she was in close proximity and text messaged her an opportunity to earn rewards by learning more about their animal rescue volunteer opportunities. So she stopped in and, in fact, got in action. As a result of actually volunteering, she received an email featuring a poll saying, "Do you love Save the World?" And of course, through her wonderful experience, she rated a 4, which then triggered an opportunity for her to share the news with other volunteers and get gift cards that could be redeemed by all of them. She had to unlock that card after 5 other people signed up. So this is just an example of how an organization can leverage multiple signals that are occurring or transcending across channels and really engage with her in a meaningful capacity at those moments of truth to really matter. And I hope that begins to bring to life for some of you what's possible today and also what's soon going to be coming. So I thank you very much for having an opportunity to speak with you this morning, and I think we're going to get into a little bit of Q&A dialogue now.